Welcome to today's presentation titled Resource Management in SharePoint. My name is Heather Champeau and I'll be leading the webcast today. Today we're going to be discussing all aspects of resource management and its value to organizations. We're also going to be covering the benefits of resource management as it relates to SharePoint and the value of executing resource management in such a comprehensive, flexible collaboration tool. Employees are the most valuable asset and the biggest expense for most organizations. Any organization that fails to manage their resources to ensure that sufficient capacity is available and that they're being assigned and managed efficiently risks losing control of its projects and work costs and having its business activities seriously constrained. The ability to deploy employees effectively against often conflicting projects and other work priorities enables organizations to optimize their return on human resource investments. In order to maximize both task throughput and company morale, resource and project managers need an efficient system to place the appropriate staff on the right teams at the right time. The following topics will be discussed in today's webcast: resource capacity, resource allocation, resource work management, resource collaboration, and resource task management. Before we get into all the various levels of resource management, let's touch on the basics. What is resource management? Wikipedia defines resource management as the efficient and effective deployment for an organization's resources when they are needed. The term resources does not always refer to human resources, but all resources that need to be considered when scheduling a project activity. For the purpose of this webcast, we're going to be referring to the management process for human resources and the 5 areas within it. Let's take a look at the full resource management lifecycle. As you can see, this is a top-down approach to managing your resources. To truly accomplish full resource management within your organization, all areas must be considered and accommodated. That being said, it is always wise to consider organizational maturity as it relates to resource management to ensure you are adopting the right amount of discipline and functionality at the right pace to ensure you're not introducing unnecessary risk. It is very common for users within your organization to be at different levels of maturity. One of the most important aspects of implementing and executing a new tool or discipline is that you understand your audience, their needs, and their current process in place today to ensure that new technologies introduced will be easily adopted. Capacity planning helps to ensure that resource capacity meets current and future business requirements in a cost-effective manner. In the capacity planning stage, you will need to identify all the roles needed for the given project or work effort at hand. For example, which organizations or departments will be involved with your project. This will help you establish the structure for your project and potentially how your tasks will be organized and even identify security constraints. What disciplines and skill sets are required to complete your project? Without the proper skill sets and expertise, particular tasks may require more training, longer turn times, possibly even result in rework. Effective resource management relies on the fact that these factors have all been considered prior to selecting your resources. Once you have determined your generic roles, you'll need to determine the quantity of each role needed as well as the time frame. As this information is obtained, you will then be ready to analyze your plan, make adjustments, and prepare for actual named assignments. Let's take a look at how you can accomplish resource capacity in SharePoint. Here you will notice that we are leveraging SharePoint's new 2010 ribbon to initiate our resource planning process. As you click on Edit Resource Plan, your resource plan will be launched. Any work item or project in SharePoint can have a resource plan assigned. You can then assign roles or generics to your project or work item. Associated with your role can be any other attribute defined, such as the department field you see here. You can plan your resources using hours or FTEs. At the bottom of the resource plan, you will see capacity hours as well as hours overallocated against capacity. In this example, you can also see various candidates that are potential matches for the roles needed. You can also use a resource modeler to analyze different scenarios by performing what-if analysis and shifting project and work schedules to find the perfect project sequencing. If you are looking for a more visual presentation of resource capacity data, you can leverage resource capacity reports built directly in SharePoint to analyze your current resource needs and all potential risk associated. Now it's time to assign your project team. Before we do, we must look at all factors involved in this process. Who is available and when are they available? What competencies or experience does the resources possess? Have they worked on a similar project in the past, and if so, how well did they perform? Are they interested in working on the defined project? And finally, how much will it cost to obtain the resource for the project? In addition to the environmental factors, a roles and responsibilities document should be completed prior to assigning resources. An org chart will also aid in this process when determining the resource assignments, as well as the preliminary project schedule to view when each resource is needed and for how long. In many cases, the project team members are known in advance. In other instances, you may need to be prepared to enter a negotiation process with functional managers or maybe even other project managers should the resource be currently working on other projects. In this case, project priorities and benefits may be weighed to determine which project has the greater need for the requested resource. In many cases, if project teams are already overallocated, there may be a need to consider acquiring resources from a third-party vendor or consulting firm. You may also consider whether or not having a virtual team will be adequate for your resource management needs. After the resources are assigned and confirmed, you'll need to be prepared to manage all future changes that could potentially come into play to ensure your plan is flexible and scalable to handle unexpected shifts in resource demand and allocation. Let's look at some of the tools that can help you in the resource allocation process. In addition to SharePoint, it is highly likely that your project teams may also be leveraging scheduling tools such as Microsoft Project to manage their schedules. This view shows how you can leverage Microsoft Project and/or Online Work Planner detailed project plans to easily populate resource capacity plans with named resources. Let's go back to the SharePoint resource plan we viewed earlier and see what it looks like with named resources applied. Here you can see the projects the resources are assigned to in your resource plan and how they are measuring against capacity. If you notice in the bottom right-hand corner of the capacity view, you see a drop-down menu with the words remaining in it. You can create multiple views to show the information that is important to you when making your allocation decisions. You can also view the % match information when determining how well resources fit in the initial resource requirements. Resource management is an ongoing process in the resource management lifecycle that begins with allocation and ends at the completion of the final project or work deliverable. This stage in the lifecycle is typically managed by the project manager. This process includes managing all assignments, tracking team member performance, providing project feedback and status, resolving issues and risk, and coordinating changes to enhance project performance. All of these tools necessary for project execution and management are also essential to your resources. As with any work or project deliverable, time, resources, and costs must all be considered together in order to effectively and successfully deliver a project. Let's take a look at some of the tools offered to help with this stage in the life cycle. At the highest level, you can take any work item or task in SharePoint and utilize various resource tools to ensure your resources are available. Once assigned, you can also check resources for overallocation and adjust assignments where needed. If you are using Microsoft Project to assign your resources, you can leverage WorkEngine's Project Publisher tool that allows you to take your schedules built in Microsoft Project and publish them directly to SharePoint. For less complex projects, you can use the Online Work Planner tool to create your tasks directly into SharePoint. You can also leverage a SharePoint-based resource planner to combine resource workload on both project and non-project work in a single view. All resource assignments in this view can be created through a Microsoft Project Schedule, an Online Work Planner, or any list in SharePoint. This allows resource managers and project managers to have a true picture of resource workload across all of their projects and work items in SharePoint. You can also view resource availability by time phase, perform what-if analysis on resource workload and availability, and group resources by various attributes such as department, skill, role, etc. Once again, if you're looking for a more visual presentation of resource data, you can leverage resource capacity reports built directly in SharePoint to analyze your current resource assignments and all potential risk associated. Resource collaboration is a key practice in the way organizations work today. Working together to deliver project and work deliverables that other ways may not be reached by working alone allow organizations to streamline work, deliver services, and increase overall productivity across the organization. Resource collaboration is a critical stage in resource management. If your resources aren't communicating and they aren't working towards a shared understanding of goals, carefully putting together a resource plan pre-execution will be less productive. Resources must communicate in order to keep projects and work on track. When defining the tools to implement for resource management, ease of use and flexibility are essential to ensure high user adoption and effective collaboration. Let's take a look at some of the various ways teams can collaborate using SharePoint. WorkEngine has pre-built SharePoint project workspace templates that help teams manage all projects in one central location. These collaboration workspaces are available for various verticals and multiple methodologies to ensure there is a solution that is right for every team. These templates bring best practice project and work collaboration disciplines to all team members and ensures that all teams have the tools needed to keep control of deliverables to help ensure successful delivery on all work items. Schedules can be updated and shared via SharePoint for familiar, easy-to-use schedule collaboration. Schedules can be updated directly in SharePoint and then fed back to your Microsoft project schedule. You can also share your online work planner schedules for the same easy-to-use collaboration. Teams can also use a SharePoint-based time tracking tool that will allow them to update % complete and actual hours in one location, making time reporting and statusing a simple centralized task. Any work item or list item in SharePoint can be added to timesheets. Project managers can then use that information to update their schedules and keep all teams updated with current status and potential risk. You can also open the work log and add additional notes to ensure that all critical information is shared and visible for the required audience. All lists that contain critical tasks or work items can be rolled up from all of your SharePoint sites and shared in one centralized location regardless of the type of work. This gives teams first-hand visibility into current status or state of all work assigned to their team, making collaboration with team members even easier. Outlook is also a powerful resource collaboration tool that most team members are already using. If Outlook already plays a key role in team collaboration within an organization, organizations can leverage WorkEngine's Outlook Publisher to create work items right in Outlook that will automatically be created in SharePoint. All updates to this work item can be tracked in both locations. The last stage of the resource management lifecycle focuses on those accountable for individual work items. We all have project work or various work items that we must complete, and most likely that work is combined with our own personal to-do list as well. In order to be the most productive, resources need a tool that will handle all of their work tasks and any personal tasks they may have in one location. In SharePoint, you can do just that. Gather your work, update your work, and monitor all related work and dependencies in one system. Here we are looking at a view of the My Work Center in SharePoint. All work in this view is rolled up from all SharePoint sites and allows team members to create, view, update, and even drill into any work item assigned to them. Team members can view the work by project, by work type, or they can even create their own view to see the work organized in whatever format works best for them. As they update their project work, the updates will be applied to the actual work item instantly regardless of where it sits in the SharePoint infrastructure. Resources can also use the Reminder web part to get an overall view of all work and status. They can also set up their own individualized alerts to receive status on any list in SharePoint they want to track. In today's webcast, we covered all the different stages of the resource management lifecycle as well as the various tools to implement them, including Microsoft SharePoint, Microsoft Project, Microsoft Outlook, and WorkEngine. If you would like to learn more about WorkEngine products, please feel free to visit our website at www.workengine.com. You may also view our demo, sign up for webinars, or access your very own WorkEngine trial environment by clicking on the call to action buttons at the top right-hand corner of our website. Thank you for joining us today for today's webcast. We hope you enjoyed our presentation, Resource Management in SharePoint. Have a great day.